Where is this guy, man? Nope. Yeah, I'll take it. That's great. That's my favorite part of the game. CROWZ, a new modern shooter that just released on Steam as a free-to-play title in early access. Gamers all over the world have been scouring the internet looking for modern shooters to fill the void that Battlefield 2042 left in their soul. And so, a Korean company called Royal Crow has stepped in to try to fill the void. Instead of the mobile game this was initially intended to be, they switched gears and made it a PC shooter. With that said, let's get this out of the way early. If you're looking for CROWZ to fill that empty spot in your soul, it ain't gonna happen. Look, I always want to give indie developers who are attempting to make great games the benefit of the doubt. When it comes to funding and resources, they're on a completely different level than DICE and EA. So there is some leniency here. Unfortunately though, CROWZ is still a very, very rough experience. Not to say that it's all bad, but the game itself is in a pretty poor state. Currently at the writing of this script, the game is sitting at mostly negative on Steam. So let's talk about what's going on here because on paper, this should be a hit when it comes to the current FPS market. My name is Tacti, the tactical dad of the internet. If you enjoy this style of content, first and foremost, sit up straight, you slob, and then hit that like button. Also, I want to thank the devs over there at Royal Crow. They were kind enough to send over some goodies, and my wife was kind enough to open it, so I couldn't get any real footage of the unboxing. I'll give her some grace, though. She's new to this YouTuber wife thing, so I'll cut her some slack. Okay, gamers, as always, the game will be linked down below for you to check it out, but I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to this game. And I'm going to start with the good, because I feel like it's good to be positive first before bringing in that criticism. It makes people feel good first, feel like you're more sincere, and that's really what I want to be. I don't want to just bash a game, I want to offer constructive criticism. I like that there are two different game modes here. Having the extraction-style battle royale along with the conquest-style game mode is a very good way to do it. This will give players a little bit more freedom and will allow them to enjoy the game if they want to have a sweaty experience or just, click some heads on the screen for a while. The game has also got pretty decent customization, though the UI for it is very, very ugly. But regardless though, a decent amount of progression and attachments for each weapon. The gunplay and the animations, especially in first-person mode, are fairly good. The weapon models look pretty high quality. The directional audio seems to be pretty good for me. There were a couple times when an enemy was trying to sneak up on me and I could hear them, so that's always a good thing. And what's also pretty cool here is that they've got strikes. In conquest mode, you earn these while playing the objective. In the extraction mode, you earn it by spending Q on. But it's a really good implementation of this because it actually adds a little dynamic to the game. It's not just a kill streak kind of thing. You earn money and then you have to spend that money to get the strikes. And then to go along with this, player customization is a really great thing. Once that gets implemented a little bit more, I'm sure it's going to be great. Unfortunately, that's about where the good things end. The game is going to need a lot of work if they're going to make any money off this. I honestly can't see a whole lot of people spending any money on this in its current state. The number one thing is obviously optimization. I played the previous tests and they certainly have improved since then, but man, I've got so many frame drops and stutters. They're still very prevalent in this build, and I understand that it's early access, but the game felt super sluggish to where I couldn't even keep up with the action. Speaking of the action, let's talk a little bit about that, because this is where the game is a little bit of a bummer for me. The original trailer looked like this. The game appeared to be a hardcore style of game that offered something a little bit different than what was on the market. And in reality, I think the game would play much better with this approach. Unfortunately, this game is much more casual than I expected. A very high time to kill and movement more spazzy than a coked out honey badger. And that's not even mentioning the fact that the game can be played either third or first person. There's currently not an option to lock in a certain perspective, and I understand that's likely because they weren't sure what kind of player numbers to expect. In general, I'm going to assume that this is going to be added in the future. Hopefully anyway, but regardless, it makes for an incredibly disappointing experience in regards to pacing and your ability to traverse the map. Not to mention, third person makes very little sense to me, especially in these multiplayer games. Being able to see around corners is a very strange mechanic that I'm not sure why you would want to put that in the game. I mean, I suppose maybe single player or co-op, that would make a little bit more sense, but here, it does not make any sense to me. And then, Those mechanics on a poorly designed map make everything worse. These 2 points here are pretty much where the action is the entire game. Giant clusters of people all in one small area with no real direction. The map itself just is not designed very well, especially with the constant hiccups in performance. It comes down to a lot of action in a very small space with poor optimization and poor mechanics that actually make the game feel awful. In general, though, the graphics are okay, but on the Conquest map in those darker areas, being able to spot your enemy is incredibly difficult. It's very easy to confuse an enemy with foliage or lose an enemy in the light foliage, and that coupled with this game's very high time to kill and those jerky spazzy movements, it really does ruin the fun. It could be so much more if they just slowed down the movements, lowered the time to kill, and made this game a little bit more tactical, because right now this game is not fun for me. As far as the monetization goes, you can obviously purchase boosters to progress and then cosmetics, and then in about 3 months there's going to be a battle pass available. Unfortunately, in the game's current state, I have no idea who's going to purchase these things. The progression honestly seems pretty quick. It's not really needed in my opinion. It seemed pretty easy for me to level up my weapon with just a couple hours. Now, on to probably the biggest disappointment when it comes to this game for me specifically. The extraction style game mode is something decently unique. You drop in with a weapon, you earn strikes with kills and extracting Q-on, which is their special gas or something like that, and then you call in a helicopter to leave. It's honestly a decent attempt at the BR genre, and I think extraction style game modes are very cool. But the way the game mechanics are, it's still a very lackluster experience. When you initially drop in, you do get to load in with an AUG. This is at least something a little bit different than just a pistol or loading in unarmed, but it's still not what I'm hoping for. Because after you drop in, you can do some mining and then call in a loadout package and grab a loadout there, just like in Warzone. And then once you've reached a certain amount of Q-on, you can call in the extraction helicopter, you gotta wait for it to get there, and then you can try to leave. However, as you're trying to leave, other teams can try to kill you. That's all good and well, but unfortunately, here's the biggest thing for me. None of it matters. Nothing. That's it. You extract, you win, I guess, and that's the end of the game. It's essentially the same problem Hazard Zone has. There's no real risk here, at least not for the time being. There's just load in, hope for the best gear on the ground, and avoid the gas. The reward is still going to be the same at the end, a win and some extra XP. No weapons to keep or special currency to buy things, just the ability to say that you won. A good idea gone to waste in my opinion. I think if someone created a Battle Royale extraction style game mode, where you choose what weapons you go into the map with, you have specific objectives that you have to complete, you go in and try to get those, and then you extract, all with modern weapons, that'd be fantastic. Literally just add some modern weapons to Hunt Showdown, and you've got yourself the perfect game. That would be huge, but that's a topic for another time. Unfortunately, in its current state, this mobile game turned PC shooter is not a great game. When they say it's in early access, it's certainly in early access. It may get better as development progresses, but there are some serious design flaws here that can't be changed overnight. In general, unfortunately, it's just not that fun for me. But as always, I wish them the best. I hope they can turn things around and bring that rating up to a mostly positive. But that's all for this one, gamers. Thank you so much for sticking around this long. What do you guys think? Was it any good? Am I wrong about some things? Let me know down below. We'll have a pleasant discussion. Until the next one, be bold, be courageous, stay tactical.